When you're in rehab and you're actually serious about being there, one of the hardest parts is what happens once your head starts to clear. When the fog lifts, you finally see the damage you've done. Not just to yourself, but to the people you love and care about. You also start seeing the other side of it, the people you thought loved you back. The ones you trusted, some of them were never really there. Some were just guiding you through fake relationships, using you to fill the empty, insecure parts of themselves. When your mind gets clean, the world stops being black and white. You start noticing the gray areas that were always there. And when that sets in, you start second-guessing your sanity, not because you're crazy, but because sobriety forces you to see things you tried for years to avoid. Saturdays were visiting days. Out of the whole group of men I lived with, I was the only one who actually had people come see me. I felt horrible for the others. Nobody wanted anything to do with them. When my son and his mother came to visit, I invited a couple of the guys to come join us for board games. I didn't want them sitting in their rooms alone, pretending they weren't listening for footsteps that never came. A good friend of mine, more like a mentor, also visited me while I was there, and that meant a lot. One day, I was in my room when the phone rang. The caller, it showed a town in the Midwest, the same town where a woman I once dated lived. I hadn't spoken to her in a long time. For the first time, with a clear head, I actually heard her voice. I hoped maybe I'd get the chance to make a few things right. But the more we talked, the more obvious it became that if we ever had any kind of friendship, we both had a long way to go. We were still immature in different ways, still stuck in old patterns. Even as friends, she needed things from me that I didn't have the emotional capacity to give. Nobody was right or wrong, it was just the truth. Then came the part that pissed me off the most, being put under surveillance because of my guitar. I had to be supervised just to play. The head lady of the house acted like I was capable of hurting someone with it, or like I was going to grab a guitar string and hang myself. And the idea that my music, my one safe place, was treated like a threat, that set off every old wound I had. It took me right back to relatives who treated my passion like a burden. People who didn't understand what they were talking about, but still felt qualified to judge it. When they told me I couldn't play because someone else had acted wrong with their guitar, it made me feel like a problem again. Like every time a guitar touched my hands, I became something inconvenient, something in the way. But the truth is, the guitar has always been part of my identity. It was an extension of my body. For years I was told I shouldn't think like that, shouldn't feel like that. Maybe that's why I ended up in rehab, because every time I picked up the instrument that gave my life meaning, someone told me it wasn't worth anything, that it wasn't real work, that loving it made me irresponsible. And maybe that's why I drank. Maybe that's why I used, not just to numb the pain, but to slowly disappear because I loved something I was told I didn't deserve. Maybe it was easier to drown out the noise than to fight for the right to create music that meant something to me. There were times I didn't even know why I was in rehab. I knew I needed to get well, of course. But I realized something bigger. I wasn't just getting well for my son, I was getting well for my music. I had a right to make it part of my life. The people who told me I shouldn't, they were wrong. They always were. I guess this is what they mean by rigorous honesty. The kind that strips away all the lies you told yourself just to survive. The kind that hurts, but also sets you free. Because when the truth finally comes up for air, it doesn't cost as much as the lies you buried it under.